LCARA HAMRadio presents a Time Machine Tuesday vintage video release.
Welcome to Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. You can find us at LCARA.net, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. Hello everybody, this is Chris, KY4CKP. I just want to do a quick introduction here for part 2 of the DX Commander all-band vertical antenna. Going to be showing some of the assembly processes for this. And keep in mind, you can order this antenna from Callum McCormick in the UK with most of these assembly procedures already done if you would prefer, and then it's a pretty simple assembly. But doing some of these, if you'd like to be a little bit hands-on, just a little bit of soldering and crimping and things is not too bad. So we're going to be going over some of these procedures coming up and showing some of the activities here, and then also towards the end showing some of the capabilities that I've been able to experience so far with this antenna. So let's go ahead and get right into some of the assembly processes. All right, in this setup right here, folks, I'm going through some of the cutting and assembly process for the ground radial system that I'm going to deploy with this antenna. And again, Callum has some really good videos online, and he talks about radial systems for antennas, especially vertical antennas, and some of the research he's done and testing he's done. And so I'm following some of his advice. You can look at his videos. I may link that below. But when you do this, it largely comes down to having enough square footage of wire on the ground as opposed to raw length of wire on the ground. So I'm putting together several assemblies here, which is how he's designed the antenna. I purchased some additional wire to do this, that yellow wire. It comes with DX or D10 is the original wires type. It's a very decent wire, and I wanted to save that the black wire for the elements. I knew I was going to be putting up 80 meter inverted L, doing everything pretty much at quarter waves. I do have a full length 6 meter though, and so I wanted to save that wire. So I bought this this thin, inexpensive yellow wire. I think it's technically for invisible fences for electronic dog collars and things, something like that. It's cheap, it's easy to work with. So I set it up, did the crimping, and did the soldering. Again, simple work. I'm not an expert. I don't have all the right tools for some of this stuff, but you can make it happen and just take your time and have some fun with it, hopefully, if you like to be a little bit hands-on, which I typically do. I don't mind doing some of these things. So just showing some of the assembly and crimping process. I did several of these, so I'm just showing kind of one of them. Just measure, cut to length, strip it, put on the ends, some simple soldering. And so far, again, it's working out great. Haven't had any problems with these radial systems. Seems to be having a good enough effect. Not usually that much noise through the antenna. You know, that kind of thing varies by day, as we all know. But it's been working out really well for me. And again, we'll see some of the results here at the end of the video. So again, as you can see, pretty simple stuff. Some simple assemblies going on here. Some simple soldering, and not a real high skill level. So if you have a little bit of equipment or buy something inexpensive, that's an inexpensive soldering iron from Amazon. It's a pretty decent one though. It actually gets nice and hot and melts the solder well. I have a couple of others that really aren't, they just don't seem as good. They don't get hot enough, I think, is part of the issue. So there's plenty of choices for those kinds of things, depending on how much soldering you may actually do. So again, easy to do. You can use the wire that Callum provides. Again, I chose to buy some cheap wire to do this, just to make sure I would have plenty of extra wire for elements. I'm using 5 elements currently, and I still have room for a 6th element, so I may decide to put something else on. But I do have plenty of that D10 wire left to go. The D10 is, as we'll see with the elements a little bit later, it's copper and steel, so it's a decent wire. All right, in this section, I'm just showing a finished section of the radials that I put together there. I did several of those bundles. I'm showing the tubing that Callum supplies with the kit. It's just the fish tank tubing, but you can cut that off. You've got the stainless steel hose clamps and slip it on, as you can see here, and it gives a lot of good friction to hold the pole sections together for those longer term deployments, but also helps protect the pole from the sharp edges of the hose clamps. So again, you cut those to length. There's plenty of that hose tubing in there to work with. Again, one of the element radial sets. You can see a couple more in the background there. So again, just some of the simple little assembly steps, putting on the ground plate and radiating plate, a few screws and nuts. There's nothing very complicated with this kit, folks. Again, if you want Callum to do a lot of those steps for you, you can pay for that, a little extra money, but you can do a lot of it yourself. Okay, here we're just showing a close-up of one of the hose clamps as we're putting it onto the antenna mast, showing it underneath one of the nylon plates there, the high-density plates, just to kind of show you what that looks like. You can put one at each section junction of the element or the mast, and for each of the plates that are on there. So it comes with all those stainless steel clamps that you need in different graduated sizes, and then you can put on that tubing again to help give it a good amount of friction and keep it up, especially if it's going to be a windy environment. Callum lives in England and goes to the coast on vacation a lot, and so he'll set these up in various arrays and things and do testing, and can get quite a bit of wind there on the coast. I've had mine up now already for, gosh, I don't know, a good month or two, and through a few storms and things, and it's been standing up great. You'll see here in a little bit that I've got show some of the pictures of how I've got the guy line set up, and I use some bright orange line for that to help keep it from being a trip hazard and that kind of thing. It's been doing great, handing up to the weather, the wind, and everything, and yet it's still pretty easy for one person to put up or take down if you want to, or especially in the early phase when you're doing adjustments to the element links and everything. One person can take it up and put it down. You have a screwdriver and you loosen a few of those hose clamps and you can take it up and down very quickly and very easily. None of it's very heavy, and again, it's really meant to be transportable, and I'm just using it in a more semi-permanent installation, which a few folks do use the antenna for. Here we can see I'm working on one of the elements. It may be a little tough to see, but I'm working with some of the black wire. Now we can, you'll see that the black D10 wire. Again, it's a combination of several strands of copper and a couple of strands of steel in the PVC coating. So it's really quite strong and flexible. So it stands up well and works well to even high wattage. I think Callum's tested that all the way up to 1500 watts or so. So it's a great wire. I believe it has some military ratings to it, at least for the UK system over there. But it works well for that stuff, and I've got quite a bit left over I may find some uses for. Again, putting on, tinning the leads and putting on some of the blade connectors and things. A little bit of soldering and that kind of stuff. It's not a lot. It's not very difficult. It doesn't take all that long. What are you going to have? 6 of these? At most probably. So if you don't mind being a little bit of hands-on, it's not too bad. And then also putting a loop on the end of the elements so that you can connect them at your different points along the mast. And he includes some shock cord, some stretch cord, so that you can put that on there. Whenever you're putting up things, it's really not a good idea to put them up under a lot of static tension. So he includes some of that shock cord so that you can have some of that flexibility in there, especially with wind loading and things like that. So not too hard. You'll figure out your links, add a few centimeters on there for the loop, and he includes the shrink tubing, which is glue line shrink tubing. You can kind of find that sometimes as referred to as marine grade maybe. Usually has the glue line and makes a nice secure connection when you make the loops and tie everything off. So again, with this section here, folks, what I did is I just used some of the bright orange, this is 550 Paracord. There's all kinds of cord that you could use for this. He includes those little snap clips that you can put on the end of each one of those. Created the 3 guy lines, staked it out, got the tension decent, and that's all it really takes to stake it down. It's a fairly low point and it holds the antenna very well. Again, several storms, no problems at all. All right, folks, it's pretty much that time. We've assembled the antenna at this point. We've done all the major components. We've shown you pretty much all the steps, cutting and creating those ground radial bundles, creating the vertical elements. It's simple skill sets, folks. Don't be intimidated by this. If you're a little bit hands-on, if you want to take a look at this, and you can get a lot of help from Callum himself. He's got assembly videos online to help you out. There's plenty of folks that have these that would be willing to help you out. Certainly you can contact us here at LCARA. We've got the assembled antenna. Again, it's a lot of fun project to build, I think. Give yourself a half a day. Don't rush anything. Measure twice, cut once. But a lot of the components are easily replaceable as well. So if something happens, you don't have to go all the way back to England to get a part. Now, if the worst happens and you need a new mast, you can get a new mast from Callum as well, at a good price. But all the other hardware is relatively simple to get a hold of. So it's a fun project. Take a look at this one. Again, you can pay him to do a lot of those sub-assemblies, but consider doing it yourself. The skill sets are not extreme, and I think you could have a lot of fun with this antenna, and it's a great performer. Okay, here in the final section, folks, just wanted to show kind of the completed antenna setup. I've got the LMR 400 cable, marine grade cable that I ran around to the front of the house where my shack is. And also wanted to show a couple of simple maps that I've been putting together. You know, a lot of people like to do that, places you've traveled and things. And I know for ham radio folks, we like to do that kind of stuff so we can keep track of the places we've contacted. So I've just started some simple maps that I use as my wallpapers on my laptop. And I have it rotate between them. And I'm just simply putting on simple pin markers on there, a U.S. map and a world map to keep track. It's kind of a lot of fun to have that kind of stuff visually. And you can see here that even though the bands are terrible, the bands are dead right now, right? Everybody keeps saying it. I've been making plenty of contacts around the United States and continue to do so, making plenty of contacts around the world. Again, my proudest achievement so far has been the contact in Russia at about 5,500 miles. But, you know, Brazil and many other interesting places so far, Curacao and a few others. Northern Ireland, that was a lot of fun. So there's plenty of capability in this antenna. It's a great receiver, it's a great transmitter, and it's a great price point. It's not an expensive antenna, and that's one of the things I liked about it the most. I didn't mind having a little bit of a hands-on aspect, and it's a great price point. And it's easy to put up and take down, and if you want to have it be portable, transportable. So take a look at the DX Commander from Callum McCormick in the UK. M0MCX is his call sign. M0MCX.co.uk is his website, and he's got a lot of good things going on, and plenty of videos himself, and including some assembly videos for the antenna. So again, have a good time with your hobby. Get out and be as hands-on as you want to be. You know, that's one of the things that Brian. KY4BDP and I are kind of stressing. You can be as hands-on and as maker as you want to be with this stuff, and you can buy pre-assembled stuff or you can build things yourself. So have some fun. There's plenty of gear out there. We're trying to review some of these options for you, and we will see you folks in the next video. So 73s. All right, well, I fooled you folks. You thought we were done, but I decided to slip one more little component in here to the video. I've recently got the SDR Play 1 Alpha set up on my system with SDR Uno software, and I just wanted to slip in a quick screenshot right here. I've got that working. I've got it able to control my rig, and again, working with this antenna, being able to share the DX Commander antenna between my FT891 radio from Yaesu and the SDR. And it's really a lot of fun. You know, I teach computer classes, and so I've got 27-inch monitors, and being able to dedicate a 27-inch monitor to a pan adapter basically, and having the giant waterfalls and stuff is a lot of fun. I can tell you that much, and we're going to be talking about that. Brian's got one of these as well, and I know another LCARA club member has one as well. So we're going to be talking about those electronic devices as well, and doing some comparisons of the antennas and things. So I just wanted to slip that in here right at the end as a little bit of a bonus for the video. So once again, we'll catch you folks in the next video. Have a good one. Get out there, enjoy the hobby, even if you travel. And once again, 73s.